Welcome, mortal fools, to the most terrifying, spectacular show on Earth. Fasten your seatbelts and hold on tight, and take a ride with the Dark Carousel Podcast. Welcome, mortals! Let's fucking ride!
Don't.
On the day say
I'm not working.
I'll be on first shift.
I'm going to be eating turkey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dark Carousel Podcast, where all your nightmares come true and all your haunting nightmares come true. Today, we are going to sit down and talk with the mastermind behind the beautiful artwork of Vincent Castiglia. I'm a little nervous, but I'm also very excited to learn more about his world. But I'm also excited to teach him about our world. We've chosen Vincent Castiglia for multiple reasons, but the biggest reason why we chose him is because he has the same passion and dedication that we do as haunters. And it may not be him going out there and haunting like us, but the passion and dedication that we give to customers, he puts into every
Ounce of his art.
Ounce of his art. I mean, literally, he's putting himself
In it.
into his art. If you guys don't know who Vincent Castiglia is, guys, you're going to find out real quick. This guy is one of a kind. He is an extraordinary person. He paints with blood, human blood, his own or others. And a lot of people probably think it's like, man, that's fucking weird. No, it's not. It's honestly like quite beautiful because he's putting every ounce of his life into each and one of his paintings. And the coolest part about the whole situation about painting with your blood, he is literally doing monochromatic painting styles where he's using just one color. Blood is red.
Yeah.
So when the blood decays and it starts to crystallize,
Well, I noticed, like, even then, though, he knows how to dilute it just right, though, to change the color, to
it's
make it
crazy.
light or dark. He just knows how to do it just right. It's
How
wild.
do you master that? No idea.
Years of experience.
Years of experience.
Plenty of in the fridge.
So he's from Brooklyn, New York, guys. And he's an American painter. He's a tattoo artist. He's been in bands. He's done so many paintings for so many amazing people out there in the world. One of his inspirations is H.R. Giger. If you guys don't know who H.R. Giger is, go to Google and type in H.R. Giger. He is one of the first Americans. I mean, he is literally one of the first Americans to receive a solo expedition invitation of the Oscar award-winning artist H.R. Giger exhibit. That's crazy. That is insane. He's also done paintings for Slayer, Gary Holt, one of his guitars. He's done Greg Allman. He's Greg Allman. If you guys don't know who he is, the Allman Brothers. So many more other people out there that know who Vincent Castiglia is. It only took me about a month to master his last name, but after watching his documentary and learning a little bit more about his life, it's really dark. But he uses his trauma and his I don't know how he creates these masterpieces and how he really just dives deep into his painting and I want to know what world does he go in when he visualizes a picture and he paints it. So I'm really intrigued on, oh dude, it's just, he's like the modern Vincent van Gogh, dude. Like he has so much talent. It's sickening of how much talent this guy has.
It's awesome.
It is so beautiful. And again, if people think it's weird, I mean, this is going to be a long episode, guys. So we're going to dive deep into this gentleman's head. And I'm beyond honored to finally talk to him. Finally, I got to message him.
We got to keep up the communications.
He sent me a. I emailed you.
Ta-da!
But super. Dude, I'm so excited. And a big old shout out to Frank and Fuel, Mike Casavant, to give us the appreciation and support. He's the one that pushed us towards Vincent, and I'm really excited. So if you guys want 15% off your next purchase, go to frankandfuel.com/GCP. If this wasn't for Mike, dude, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. So Mike, dude, I love you so much. You're fucking amazing.
Yeah, tell him Sweet sent you.
Yeah, tell him Sweet sent you, bitch. But last night we interviewed Frankie.
I see a picture.
I see a picture.
I see a picture.
There it is.
Hi, Arthur.
So far, it looks great.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
We
sir.
hear you.
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear, bud.
All right, great.
Perfect. Oh yeah, perfect.
This is cool. This is a different.
Got it.
This is a different point of view.
Yeah, we like that point of view.
This is awesome,
See, new studio.
man. Well,
Together stuff.
we can hardly hear you. It's like choppy just a little bit, but it's not terrible.
All right. Shall we move things close? Let's get this. Are we live, dude?
Yes, sir. No, it's okay. Everything's raw, dude. So
we're raw.
Everything's okay.
We're not perfect.
Yeah, we're definitely not perfect,
This is awesome.
man.
So I want to thank you guys again. Having me. It's a great honor.
Hey, it is a huge honor, man. If it wasn't for Mike to give us your name and make me do a bunch of research, man, I was like, holy shit, this guy has a fucking story. And then just watching, your documentary on YouTube and just diving deep a little bit, I'm like, bro, dude, this is wild. And it's like, it is an extraordinary honor to have you on our show. This is basically like an introduction to the haunt world, man. Just a little bit about ourselves. We typically we call it artist haunters across the country. We speak to them and we dive deep into their brain to figure out what the passion is and the dedication is, what really drives them to come back every single year to do this. And, my name's Arthur, and this is Steve. You've been talking to me on and off, dude. And we love the passion that these guys and girls do for so many customers and so many people out there in the world, and how much dedication they really do put into their costume work. I mean, it's a form of art. So when Mike from Frankenfuel was talking to me, he's like, dude, there's this guy named Vincent Castiglia, and he has an extraordinary background, and he does something extremely extraordinary. And he sent me a link to your page, and I was like blown away. I'm like, holy shit. So then, after listening to and watching your documentary, there's passion, there's dedication, there's trauma, there's life, there's pain, and it's like the same way as haunters are. We hold a passion, we hold a heart, and that's one of the biggest reasons why we really wanted to get you on the show, because it's not about scaring people or being different than anybody else in the world. It's about being yourself. And you have a huge heart on everything that you do, and you literally put so much passion into what you do. And again, it is a complete honor to finally sit down and talk with you.
It is so mutual, and I thank you so much, both Steve and Arthur, for the amazing introduction to your listeners, and also the research done. And I thank Mike for the connection. And yeah, it's been an interesting ride, an interesting year. But I would like you guys to really start wherever you'd like. I'm completely open
and then we can get into however you'd like to.
Okay, man. Sounds great. Well, here we go to start off the show. Who is Vincent Castiglia, and what got you into this lovely world of art?
I started making art as soon as I get hold of pencil. Was an affinity, something I was always drawn to, but more fundamentally, it really was the most absolute way to dissociate from environment, and through imagination and through the synthesis of actual information and the diaphane or imagination that it's referred to in some literature, the window of the soul. And that's what I've how I've looked at the work and how it's evolved. There was a lot, you could say, growing up, and art was a place I went and did that most dissociation most effectively, to be forthright. And then it became just something I did repetitiously and something I fell in love with and truly fell head over heels in love with when I started working in my medium, which is human blood. And that was in 2000 during circumstantial hemorrhage. I like to sort of analogize it because it quite was. And I was seeking, I knew that the content that I was creating was in line with the emotive and inspirational context. The substance or the medium, I felt I was exploring still and working in different media and had worked in all media prior. And experimented with human blood in small amounts in a very controlled way and fell in love because it communicated truth. And it was a truth I felt viscerally and kinetically. It could not be reproduced, denied in any way. And it involved a little pain and then something that was actually through my lens, beautiful was born. So it's almost like it was a kind of giving birth. It was a really pivotal moment, 2000, when I started working in that medium, and everything from there is quite complex and eventful. You could describe it.
Yeah. That's really extraordinary. Like you found a safe place. You found a place where you feel like you can control this world. This is your world. You found something that is a huge safety blanket for you. It's a safe haven. And after like reading a lot of research, about like your past, about how you got into doing all this stuff, like you speak so much with your paintings. Like you physically don't have to say anything. Now, like what was your world like before the blood hit the brush? Was it like more of pencil drawing, or was it more of ink drawing? Like what was the first instinct of just doing the blood aspect?
It was really very tightly cross-hatched and stippled pen and ink drawings. I had gotten into drawing and painting and worked in all media mostly, I believe, and then started working with pens and pen and ink. And that was where the transition point occurred, where I started experimenting with blood in those highly, thousands and thousands of lines and dots. That was the transition from that into working exclusively in human blood and painting only, which ironically, the substance in blood, which is iron oxide, is the actual substance in sepia tone paints that are found in all paints of that hue. And it is actually I wouldn't say 100% as archival, but practically 90%
Yeah.
as archival, because it is held up over time. It is the same substance. And again, it holds up. It stands the test of time. I have paintings 25 years old. And there are cave paintings from early man, not dissimilar to what occurred organically and through the creative process for me as a form of early prayer for more food. They depicted bison and hunt on the walls in animal blood for more food. And I found that really interesting. And those are 25,000 years old
Yeah.
in terms of, supporting its archival longevity. But
So like you have like a very unique style. I know H.R. Giger was like one of your biggest inspirations on a lot of your artwork and stuff, and how you really express, the pain, the trauma, and the abuse and physical like injuries throughout your life. How did the pain become more of a foundation of your creativity instead of like destruction? Like, did you just like one day to say, you know what, I want to show you how I truly feel?
yeah, it was always peeking through, in the work that I was making. And it's just, again, it was more fundamental and getting to its core more and more, and became, the Buddha, when becoming enlightened, ironically, also realized that life is pain. It's the first precept of the Four Noble Truths. Life is suffering, but second can be transcended by detachment. I had that tattooed by Michelangelo, Mikey Buffetto of Brooklyn, like a really long time ago when I was 18. And that was a kind of fundamental truth that is a through line and a common thread through all the work, not in a crippling, defeatist nor despairing way, from the depths of despair, realizing that it is all relative and can be transcended. And I'm not Buddhist. I don't claim anything, but the work is ethereal. You could say mystical in that sense, and I believe contains fundamental truths, not only directly and intrinsically a part of me and related and delineatable throughout my life directly, but I believe universal in their kind of applicability to all humans and stations of experience of life that we all inevitably must go through.
Man.
So it is more of a testament of hope over the binds of the flesh or the, so on.
Whoa. I mean, dude, it's crazy to think that, you put every inch of yourself in each one of your paintings, and you've done so many amazing people, like they've collected your work. How did it come to these people's eyes where it's like, all right, there's this guy named Vincent that paints with his blood, I'm interested? Was it like word of mouth, or did you put yourself out there?
It's word of mouth, grass roots from Brooklyn, graves in Brooklyn between two funeral homes. Uh, Nowhere, you could say, but everywhere, because all points are relative. Uh, it was all grassroots and it was all word of mouth. And I had started, and I was drawing and painting my whole life. Started tattooing at 18. And that, I approached that with as much responsibility and reverence and practically militant self in the beginning, because I understood and felt the karmic gravity of this. This is changing people's bodies. This is affecting their lives forever. And I had really, from the beginning, taken a kind of oath into myself that it was going to be all or nothing, which is a motto in the sense of, follow through. And it spread, and it was grassroots. And then there was obviously beyond a certain point, you start realizing this is actually my reality. It happened organically, and that is what has kind of followed suit from there.
And it's so cool because I know before social media, it was probably a lot harder to get your name out there and stuff. Because I know with us, it's like, we wanted to start a podcast because, us together combined, like we have over 50 years of haunting. He's been doing it for 34. I've been doing it for 20. And I didn't really find the beauty in haunting until probably my, I say 16th year. And I started realizing something. I'm like, man, there's more to this. There's more to going out there and just scaring people. There's heart, there's dedication, there's pain. There's so much pain. We've talked to so many people that have so much like either trauma that they had in their life that they put into their costumes. And it's really cool to sit down with these individuals because it's like everybody has a story. We have ears, we have a platform, and we'll send it and let everybody listen to everybody's story because it's well deserved. Everybody deserves to hear someone talk. And that's like the biggest problem in this world today. Nobody has a word anymore. Nobody has a way to speak the way they want to speak anymore. The way you speak is painting. The way that we speak is the way we, put on a mask and we go out there and be ourselves. So it's like a type of drug. We're addicted to it. We love it so fucking much. This is like the biggest part of our lives where we look forward to just 2 months out of the year. This is my life.
It's 365 for me.
It's 365 days out of the year. But there's so many people out there that have the same passion as we do. You have a passion that we are just intrigued about because it's like the same passion we have. And you hold such a huge heart in every single one of your art pieces. Now, haunting has saved my life plenty of times. Do you think art is a form of a way it saved your life?
It certainly has. I've not gotten on my creative path and been in my own productive way obsessed with it. And I do believe I'm certain I'd be dead long ago. But it has become my everything. It has provided everything from nothing and becoming everything. And even in its own, the paintings in their own right, each singularly speaking, kind of having a life of their own in context that I see interacting and how that exchanges and with the world and not changes consciousness, but affects it, changes it, it relates and processes it back. And there are these archetypal vibrations of vital energy that are exchanged in a very palpable way, not just beyond their creation and the purchase or commission of, and in a quite real way. And the guitar that I painted, the guitar, which was one of the most incredible pieces, incredible honors of my career. And for Gary Holt, the guitar in his blood.
Yeah.
This was a functional piece that he has been playing since 2018 and has toured the world more often than I will ever see, which is incredible. But more, fundamentally is an actual physical functional piece of artwork that has in its own right been a vessel by which he's communicating his art to the world and through Slayer and Exodus and so on. And that was just, to see it more than the art itself, but the actual conceptual application and, so on, and how that has interplayed. It's been just mind-blowing and surreal.
So, like, that moment when you finally got in contact with Gary Holt, and they're like, hey, I want you to do a guitar for me. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I would probably melt if anybody like that would come up to me and say, hey, I want you to do this for me, that has a name like that. And then I remember, because Mike was the first person that like showed me anything of yours, and he was talking about Gary Holt, and I'm like, dude, that's crazy as hell. And then when I seen the guitar,
Yeah.
how in the hell what was the process of going through? Because I mean, I know you use a certain type of paper. I remember you saying that in your documentary. It's like one of the first ancient papers of like, I forget what it was. I didn't write that one down, but it's just really cool to get transfer from paper to wood. What was the difference between that canvas and the guitar canvas?
So the paper is called Fabriano, which is the oldest paper mill in the world, and is what Da Vinci had worked on. And I love it because of its quality and longevity and archival nature, and the various textures and tooth or knot that they offer in terms of surface. So I started working on that, and that is what all of my work is on canvas. And the transition to wood was really interesting because there was a timeline, and I was sent the guitar from ESP and started, drawing Gary's whole blood backstage at a Slater show in Long Island, and started working with it. And then had realized there's not enough absorption or tooth on the surface for it to bind. So I could not layer it, and I could not work in the same ways because it was just being pushed around and reactivated by every stroke. So I had to basically abort that pass and to, short amount of a bit of blood used, sand the whole thing down, do my own process with it to get it to do that. And then that was sealed after 2.5 months of work. And it is held up, and it's quite still surreal to me, and one of the most incredible honors of my career.
Oh,
It's an
absolutely.
amazing person.
Yeah, because like I've learned in like I'm nowhere near of what you do, but like when it comes to like different canvases, because I do makeup art at my local haunted house, and I've been doing it for this is my 7th year now, or 6th or 7th year, and I've learned with different like face structures and stuff, it's always difficult to find the points, the angles and stuff. But I can only imagine just pushing around a liquid just so it can stay because it's not absorbent like how it does with paper. So like I can only imagine the process of how you would do that. When did you start to realize that you're using a monochromatic style of basically mastering the decaying of blood, like the different colors and the varieties of how you use it? That's one thing that really intrigues me the most, because it's like there's a lot of people that like master something, but you've mastered
The art of blood.
the art of blood in such a way where you know when to use it, how to use it, when it like solidifies and how it coagulates, and it's just everything that how you use it is so intriguing to me, because it's like how do you come across doing that?
So I appreciate your comments. And prior to, this, well, again, was quite the most organic existential hemorrhage and transference of a lot of energy into a place that needed to be channeled. And that I felt screamed. Blood painting communicated, it spoke, blood, and using the medium when I started experimenting with it screamed. And it screamed the truth. And it was mine. And started, developing it over time, again, working in smaller amounts on smaller canvases in a short amount of time, and then began working large. And spent 3.5 months, even 400 or 500 hours on each painting from the beginning, and they deserved it, because for me it was an actual rite of passage. All of this is actual. I have to kind of oscillate between speaking in physical terms and almost ethereal or subtle or mattered terms, but they are exchangeable. And it was, again, a very singular and organic process. And up to that point, working in this medium, as particularly painting in this way, it had not in art history existed prior. And I stumbled sort of onto that after having already been working in it for years. And that still remains a fact. And that's still surreal in a way. But just to answer the question, it deserved it in the respect that each piece was truly an extension and a communication of exactly what was occurring within me at that point that begged of to be in a way painted in that way. And it was how I had in each circumstance understood and resolved and kind of processed each one in these archetypal stations or various kind of modes of human existence, because they all are human figures,
Right.
mostly. It is a kind of examination of the human condition in its totality and all of its brutality.
Man, do you have like a type of like a like a ritual before you start finding the idea of a piece that you're about to paint, where you sit down? I don't know, like for instance, like for us, like one of my rituals are before I go out on the floor and I go out there and I do my stuff for a few hours. I go out there and before I do anything, I'm always trying to get into my head. I know I think in going inside of my head is probably the best way to find this person that it's not me, but it is me in the same way. So when I put that mask on, I go out there and I'm like, all right, so how am I going to create this character and go out there? I have this costume that I've bought and I've created, or a character that I've created in my brain, but it's like, how am I going to go out there and show the world who I really am? So is there like a typical, like, I don't know, routine or ritual you try to go through before each piece?
Yes, and it is a kind of a quietness, a place of solitude. And it happens in solitude. It generally does not occur in crowds, and it is a kind of sacred space, and it is in those quiet spaces usually with things that I particularly connect to music-wise and instances when I'm painting sometimes. But that really is the same in that way that you described, Steve. It is going into oneself. That is actually the alchemical equivalent of the analogy for what is misunderstood as, the alchemist's gold. It is the gold within. Visitas, it's the vitriol, which is the acronym for Visitas in Viennas Terrestrias Reviennas, or fast forward, visit the center of the earth to mine the gold within, and that is within. And you can only excavate it or access it with it in that way, exactly as you're describing it. I find it in a quiet and place of solace.
It's one of those things where when I always call them normie people, because we're all different and we're all sick in our own little way. But I think it's just, if you're able to express yourself in your own way, that's a form of art itself. If you're able to control everything, by putting it into something to show people, that's a form of art. That is something that really is able to get that blood flowing. That's the way to get that adrenaline going. That's solitude is probably one of my favorite things. My old lady thinks I'm weird because I love darkness and I love complete silence. It is relaxing to me. It is where I can keep myself content and keep myself calm. But the moment that those loud noises start happening, that's when I'm like, all right, panic mode's starting to kick in. I'm about to fucking lose my shit. And I hate that because it's like, I don't know how to explain it to people that, like, a lot of people that we've talked to, a lot of their rituals are, slamming an energy drink or going out there and listening to heavy metal. I like complete quietness, the calm before the storm. But when that storm is here, I'm here to bring the lightning. So when I try to go out there and express myself by doing these characters, I'm so locked into my character, I don't talk to anybody. It's like one of my characters, he's literally a fucking monkey. It sounds stupid, but the way I use this character is that he has a very slow shuffle. So I'm dedicated on just moving as slow as I can, not like a normal human being. And I just shuffle for hours and hours, even though it's killing my thighs, even though my calves are on fire, I'm not stopping. And I've learned that throughout the years of haunting, even if nobody's around, I'm still locked into this character because I never know when someone's watching me. It's kind of like a weird thing, but it's also like, if I'm just walking down a path and I'm still locked in my character, and then some guy comes up, it's like, dude, you can get out of character. I'm not going to break out of character because I'm so locked in. I'm so dedicated to what I'm doing in this moment, and nothing's going to stop me. So with every brush that you go through, are you like hyper focused on every aspect of every stroke that you put into one of your paintings?
Overall, I mean, the process and how I'm working in terms of brushstrokes, sure, it is all deliberate, and that's about as much. I mean, the millimeters are about as much kind of leeway as it has for any inconsistency or error. It is, and that's over the entire surface of the painting. And then again, in layers, painting the whole thing, dozens of times sometimes. So yes, it is extremely controlled, and there is very little room for error in that way. In fact, zero. It's one shot, one kill.
Yeah.
Because it is red and it is on these white surfaces which you cannot erase. So it becomes practically, it has the same inerrancy and unforgivingness as tattooing, only it is a white surface as opposed to blank screen, which has those implications, which have, for me, it's much more freeing in terms of painting because there isn't the pressure of the flesh. So I can push, I can work in as many layers, and you could do that with skin. There's just a budget sometimes. There's people that can't work in thousands of hours.
Yeah. So when you started tattooing, was that hard for you from transferring from a canvas to actual skin itself?
I mean, there was certainly a curve, and there was a learning curve in terms of familiarizing myself with and assimilating those tools, those devices into the creative process. Because I've been making art before, and it was, it really seriously in the beginning was so a lot of anxiety around it because it took it so seriously. It is inherent. There is no chance for any error, and just so that was approached in that way, similarly to painting. Both of them, I feel, are in my painting in my way, or my medium, the aesthetic. It has the same level of unforgiveness and inerrancy in the actual process. So all of the strokes, to answer the question, are quite deliberate.
Okay. Now, when you see, for instance, like I look at the word failure as a learning process. I've learned that like I never fail. I learn. I always learn. So like even like when Bob Ross says, these are my happy little mistakes, but it becomes something a part of your painting. Have you ever had a moment like that where you're like, oh fuck, I fucked up, but you just kept going, like it's kind of like improving in a way?
Yes, and there's again, there's a few mediums we're talking about. So but in terms of painting, and there have been moments, and I've worked with it, and it's worked and assimilated into the piece on a much smaller scale, or in terms of the most, because there's no room for it. You could say inconsistency or so. I've worked with it, and something come of that. So that's a good point. And yes, they are, as Bob really called them, happy accidents in that way.
Yeah, and I think those happy accidents actually make the piece more storytelling than anything, because it's like, yeah, you in your mind you see a piece and you notice it, but no one else will unless you say something. But it's a part of the painting. It's a part of the mistake that you did, but it's also like a learning curve in a way. Now, with the creative process of how you visualize, these pieces that you create, how does it come across your brain when it comes to creating, like the one behind you right now? When you started creating that, what was one of the processes that you were like, this is how I'm going to do this?
That was wow. That was another particularly interesting time, right at that very moment, and everything that was occurring in my life. I had done some psychedelics, and this was the drawing, one of them that had come from this period, and it was particularly loaded. Without getting into the circumstance, I mean, it didn't resemble that, but in energy, in its energetic and archetypal relevance, really did, and that's how it occurred. And it being under massive pressure, some and I don't know if that answers that question.
No, it does. I've noticed throughout my life. I mean, I'm 33 years old, and I haven't done a lot, but I've done quite a bit. But I've learned through so much, with the pain that I've held through so much in my life, because I lost my mother right in front of me, Christmas Eve of 2014. Worst fucking thing I've ever went through in my life. I changed everything about myself, but I learned something. I learned to hold myself together, be myself, and not just walk no more, but just run. And I don't want to stop running because of those dark times that I went through. I want to run. I don't care where this running. I feel like I'm Forrest Gump. Just keep on running. I'm just running. I don't know where I'm going. I try not to ask any more questions, because if I get the answers, they're not going to be the answers that I want. And I've learned so much throughout those times that I was going through, but I've learned to cherish those times. I've learned to say, you know what, I do miss those moments with, my mother and stuff, but I'm also at that time where I'm very grateful it happened when it happened, because it taught me so much to finally be myself. I didn't understand it then. I didn't know how to take it, but I knew exactly who I wanted to be. So when
That's
you can go, I'm sorry.
don't go. I'm sorry.
No, it's just I'm happy. I've never been so happier in my life, but it's also still in my head like a revolving door, just keep on repeating. But I keep that there for positivity because I know if I go down those paths again, I'm not going to be who I am. So I always remind myself.
And what you guys, can I
Yeah.
take a second?
Yeah,
Just
go ahead.
went after just the 2 seconds.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm going to answer on that note because it's heavy.
Yeah.
Because
Man, this guy's, I love this dude. I love it so much. There's a lot.
A lot.
Love it.
I appreciate you mentioning what you did and sharing that
You're welcome.
from the heart. And yeah, both of my parents are deceased, and my mother had committed suicide shortly after my father passed. It left me messages that could never be unheard, and to process it all and truly understand and be able to, even in the most horrific ways, not forgive the, I'm not talking about this. It's a lot of stuff. But it was really the kind of, it produced, or I should say resulted in a forgiveness and in a resolve that and a growth that would not have otherwise maybe been possible. And I'm not saying that about, I don't want to get that twisted at all either. It's such a loaded situation.
Right.
But even in its communication, you know, her last communications to me and so on, it was a point of growth. This is a decision that she had made that I honor. Not that I, advocate, but to put everything in perspective and to grow in ways from things that I don't wish on another soul, but that in terms of what it burrows out within you
Yes.
and what can be filled with that. You could think of it as almost being hollowed out with a loss, but then that space gives space for to be filled, and that is the growth, and that is what is I feel occurred in relating to what you had said.
Yeah, and it is hard in anybody's situation of how things happened and stuff. But if you learn to deal with it in your own little way, it's an unquestionable, it's actually an unanswerable, I can't even say it. It's, you can't really describe it to anybody until it happens to somebody. You can't really describe the pain that you get from all the stuff that you went to and stuff, but we show it as for us, like, as us haunters, we go out there and we use that and we entertain people. We create amazing characters. There's so many characters out in this country, in this world, that take all the trauma that they've went through and create this monster that they've always wanted to be. I say this on every show, and people give me shit for it, but I'm going to say it anyways. You're not born a monster. You're made into a monster.
It's true.
And the biggest thing about that is like, if you are able to be yourself, that's the cure for so much stuff. If you are able to not care about what anybody thinks about who you are, and you go out there and you put your shoes on and you start running, that's who you are as a human being.
Because that's who you are.
Just,
There's so much. Yes, I could really identify with that.
and I love it. I love the beauty of life. I love the darkness of life. I love death because of how wonderful it is and how fast it is. And a lot of people don't really understand of how short life really is and how it could happen.
flies.
It flies by. But it's
later than they think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like the way I look at it as like if you want to show yourself, you have to be your own personal little billboard. You are showing yourself in so many different ways where a lot of people don't understand. But deep in your mind, I don't give a fuck what you think. This is who I am.
This year, so I can relate to that one too. and it does. Circumstance can fundamentally chisel, with sometimes brutality or what people would consider grotesquerie, and that actually gives birth to something beautiful, and that is a point of contact that marks resolve and survival through what would otherwise have been insurmountable and unsurvivable.
Exactly.
Can relate.
Exactly. It's like I always say it all the time. We call her like we're just meat bags walking on this earth. That's all we are. But it's just our way to make sure we flow correctly. Now, 2006, it seemed like it was a huge turning point for you. You created the stings of the lash, multiply. What was it? The thy sorrow, the sleep. What was happening in your life that made it that year so spiritual and explosive for you?
I had met HR Keeper. Had been invited to exhibition of Keekers in the Czech Republic, where I had met Keeker for the first time in 2005. And it was the greatest inspiration of my life. He was the greatest inspiration of my life in an artistic sense. And it's incommunicable to try to even begin. But dear friend, truly mentor in the most contrite way that I could express that, and with absolute gratitude eternally. That set my soul on fire. His work, having been a fan for a long time, and that connection was really inspiration beyond what I could communicate.
Yeah. Now, when you were able to step foot into H.R. Giger's studio for the first time, and I remember seeing that in one of the documentary that was on YouTube. It was like how his canvas would go down into a hole so he wouldn't have to move. That's like that's crazy, but it's such a cool way on how to exploit yourself in so many different aspects. The way that it's so surreal on seeing that. And I remember just like, cause I was at work and I was just trying to just like kill time. And when I was watching the documentary and I'm like, holy crap, the method that he was doing. What was your first thoughts of just walking into that studio for the first time?
Genius and absolute reverence. Giger used every moment and second of his life and maximized what could possibly be produced and mediated at unimaginable magnitudes, detail, vision, depth of media mystic. I truly, to say I believe, I in my own heart, in a way, know that these were mediated into this world by means of his sensitivity, the sensitivity of his consciousness, and it's absolute machine-like. He was a god among men, if I may, with a small g, not to offend anyone, but truly a medium and a keeper of having channeled these visions into this world light years, I mean, hundreds of years before their time and relevance to what we know.
Yeah. Now, I've noticed so far during this interview, you use the word medium a lot. What does that word mean to you?
Well, I've used it in a few contexts. Medium in terms of the actual medium with which I'm painting, media being the plural, and in terms of Giger as a medium, I mean that in the clairvoyant sense, to make that distinction, not working in a different medium,
Right.
like a genuine clairvoyant.
Okay.
That was the context.
Yeah. Let's talk about the sting of the lash. That piece carries a Christ-like figure decaying from flesh to bone. What did that image mean to you at that time when you were creating this piece?
It was a rite of passage, and it was among my first paintings in this medium, using that word again, but in blood, in human blood exclusively, and at a scale that I was 85 inches tall, 55 wide, and at an accuracy in terms of proportion, symmetry, so on to a 32nd of an inch, which the framer had pointed out when I brought it in. He asked me if I was a mathematician because he couldn't. And it was a point that I realized, and it's my worst subject with numbers. And it's the point at which I had realized how, what an actual kind of operation of, you could say, soul it was in a rite of passage. It truly wasn't that everything had meant so much, and it's continued to, down to the millimeter in its execution, because it matters. Because I believe in that piece particularly, it's a Christ-like figure who's experiencing three separate but simultaneous experiences. Similarly to the way there is almost a coexistent presence, death among the living, whether acknowledged or oblivious. He's standing between three planes, and I depicted that. That was the vision, as the terrestrial, which the figure is standing stripped of every bit of flesh, down to the bone. The celestial, right? Just the second one beyond that, and then this realm beyond it, which is the void, or this panel where two neuron-like structures are attempting to communicate the message, which is being diffused. It's right above the head, or the quote-unquote halo in the silhouetted plant-like shapes. The message between the two neuron structures in this void, or you could think of antimatter, or so on. The consciousness between moments, or the will, kind of it being fundamentally a piece of triumph of will over fate. And that was the through line, and that is the, not illustration, but communication. And the 6 panels, it's called Stings of the Lash because it embodies, contains, and represents 6 particular events as represented or converted into the Roman numerals on the side panels. And those are the 6 most significant stings of my lashes, which were ego annihilated, and you could say would strip one of whatever could be considered a life prior to anything. And there are various kind of those. And this piece embodied literally that process of coming to being, as you described, with one major, very significant, and I'm sorry, my condolences from the loss of people.
Thank you.
This also embodied things of that gravity, and was, again, a triumph, an illustration, or a point of contact that embodied triumph of will over fate and the transcendence beyond flesh, past the bone, into a fundamental truth that I believe is contained quite literally. So it really is a conceptual, the close of a conceptual circle. You're working in it, rendering human figures, and it all being related to the human condition. It's a thrice over meditation and process.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you brought this up about the Roman numerals. I know in a lot of your pieces, even on Gary Holt's guitar, there are Roman numerals. Why do you use Roman numerals?
So the Roman numerals in my paintings are my way of encrypting information into the piece in an aesthetically, in a way that is married with the work. It is what is known as, you could say, gematria, or letter into number in various ways, and a language that I'm using to infuse the work with the literal truth, only represented by number.
That's really interesting. I never even looked at it like that. That's really cool.
Oh yeah, they all spell things, their names, addresses, particular, and petitions of will also. So each piece is a prayer in that way, or you could say a magical operation.
Okay.
Or you'd like to.
Now, you've described before that each one of your pieces is literally a part of you. It's physically, emotionally, spiritually. When a collector buys one of your pieces, is it hard to let it go because it's like you're letting a part of yourself go?
Not used to be from the first few, because it's a good question, and it's a very relevant question. And there was that sentiment in the beginning, because I knew how much I bled and labored. Excuse me.
No, you're fine.
I knew how much was exsanguinated to produce this, and it was not, small volumes, and the labor time is it's absurd. I mean, I turn myself inside out, and I spent a lot of time, all my time working. This year has been an interesting, dissimilar in that way, via some talk about slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. It's circumstance went beyond imagination and egregiousness, which are past tense. But
Give me 1 second. For some reason, the screen froze as soon as like your phone rang, and it's like frozen at one part for some reason. I don't.
Yeah, we lost. Like we can hear you, but
We
we just
can
lost.
yeah.
We lost the video.
That's
of
really-
you.
It's really strange. There
There
it
it
is.
goes.
There it goes.
yeah, with that,
Yeah,
Yep,
you're good.
all right.
That was kind of wild.
That was weird. That was kind of strange.
Never seen that one before.
Have personal and a business line. So when personal and the business, they are connected, even though they're two separate numbers. Just threw something off. Well,
Just-
apologies.
Oh no, you're fine, dude. It's
Like I said, we like this stuff because it keeps people like, whoa, what was that? You know?
it keeps everything interesting. Now, I remember you saying earlier about the word suffering. Do you think suffering is a necessary ingredient for art?
Practically, if it is, that is a really good question, and it is, I think, practically necessary for life, but for art, yes, it was for me, and of the most fortified nature. Had it not been such, there would not have been the hemorrhages that have occurred. So pain or suffering has been fundamental. Not that I'd wish it on anyone.
Right.
Uh, in terms of a catalyst for a process of growth. That's why I did mention the vitriol. Vitriol is the sort of alchemical equivalent of the corrosive catalyst that breaks everything down and dissolves it and rips it apart, only to allow for a recoagulation and a reconstitution of what is most fundamentally relevant and true. And that is what suffering does.
Holy shit.
That is the gold within.
Jesus. Okay.
You're going to put some goosebumps on him.
I know you did. It went straight down my back. Man, so
That's I do believe that. I mean, it sounds abstract, but after circumstances at this point, at 43, and some stuff that's hardly believable. Yeah, it really, I truly is that for me. I believe it is real. It is a process so so true to me, as real as the sun that rises, even though even in its abstraction as it sounds, because I've lived it, and I've lived it from a few angles now, and I get that that is a fundamental truth to answer that question.
that's actually a great answer. That's an amazing answer. Now, when you work, does it feel like the act? Does it feel? Let me ask this question. When you work, does the act feel more like creation or communion?
Mm. It's a bit of both, but it is quite more communion. Did you say communion?
Yes.
Yes, it is more of a connecting with source, and it is my sacred space, and it's a place where everything disappears, and I only see and am in this stream of what is occurring. I use the term diaphane, and it is what a 19th century mystic writer or occultist had written a lot on. And he described it, the imagination, quote unquote, loosely termed, as the diaphane, and the means by which one, or clairvoyance, or those that maybe put direction, mental direction, and focus where they will to see what they will, can act. I know it's a lofty, incredible, fantastic sort of sounding, almost fiction. To me, it does not feel so. It feels quite real in terms of it being a literal reservoir of nature by which all information may be accessed, and that's quite a notion to get around.
Right.
But you have the CIA using what are called remote viewers who can do this. They can tell you what's going on in a room 3,000, 6,000 miles away by means of their sensitivity. And that is what that particular writer described as true clairvoyants, who are actually, called them sick people. Sick in the sense, not mentally, but in a disturbance of the nervous apparatus of the body sufficient to essentially be a really live antenna that is acting as a channel or a conduit for information that would otherwise be impossible to know. And these visions and these things, they can be found or cited in things like dreams or intuitions, premonitions, and visions. And there are dream studies done. And there is a lot of scientific and psychological literature written behind this in modern day, not 19th century, that supports it, and the numbers or the three-letter agencies don't lie, and or that's a statement, but they don't mess around, and they point to a higher truth. So that was a lot, but yeah.
But that's an answer that we need. That's something that really needs to be heard. And in a sense of like, oh, dude, I'm like, that's so crazy. Oh man. Now, so since you've created all these amazing masterpieces, so much time has been put into each and one of your guys's, each and one of your art. I'm sorry.
Spit it out there, Junior.
I'm trying. I told him at the beginning of the show, I said, dude, this is probably the most nervous I've ever been to do an interview. Because like just, it's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's just one of those things where, how you said, it's like, it's surreal that this is even happening. And
So much.
it's a huge honor to speak with somebody that has so much creativity in their life and shows it in such a way you do. It's very undescribable in a way.
I love it because it's very, very unique.
So, God, dude.
I love it because I have a couple friends that are artists, and I've been to a couple conventions and traveled around and seen many people, mainly, illustrating comics, stuff like that, artists that do that. Very few like yours, but I've never seen anybody in your style, and I love the style that you do because I don't see many that do it.
It speaks.
It does. It's awesome. I love it.
Thank you so much.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate that and your support, both of you guys.
Now, with each and every one of your pieces that you've ever created, do you look at life differently now?
After each one, there is a kind of process and an interplay. And I was attempting to describe it even in an abstract way as each one of them having a life of its own, which then relates back and has these vibrations and these kind of events and things that are related to it. Went off topic maybe a bit, but actually, could you ask that?
No, you're
question?
fine. So when you create each and one of your pieces, in time, I know life does go on. Is life in a different perspective for you now?
Yes. It is a way in me, each piece has been many degrees closer to understanding and relating to this world. So yes, it's been a very organic process in a way, in a means by which all events have been resolved, whether by exorcism or by communion.
Now, with like, how like when things are going on, and how you have a gallery that is far from the word beautiful. It is like you're walking into a sanctuary. Someone's life, you've spent so much time in each dot that you put, each line that you lay down. What are like one of the most interactions or reactions do you want from people?
None. I would like to communicate what I believe is absolutely and most intrinsically, even forthrightly, brutally relevant in each one, and that is the goal. There isn't a sentiment or a presupposition or outcome that I hope to beyond truth communicate, and that is my truth.
That's a really good answer, because like, I mean, that's how, like, when I first seen your art, I was completely speechless. I felt so many emotions in just one of your pieces, and I didn't really know what I felt. I was like, holy, there's a person like this that exists in this world, that by just looking at one piece, I'm speechless. And it's not because of what it is, it's just what it puts out. It's what I feel each and every one of your pieces. I feel so normal. I feel like, I don't know, like I exist in such a way that is very undescribable because it's real. It's real life. It's reality. This is what reality is. And when you look at it, you feel, I want to say you don't feel nothing, but you feel just, I don't know how to explain it. It's an undescribable feeling on how, like, I look at your art, and it's like a speechless moment where I have nothing to say about it because there's so much just processing in the brain because it's the answers right in front of you.
That is, and I appreciate that. And again, in terms of relating that, it's Keegerson long ago. So not to really speak much of the work, as the work is what speaks. And that is a fine line, and I've taken it to heart, and I've attempted to do that. And it is such a fine line in terms of how much to reveal. And we've talked at length, even in this way. But the work is what embodies the truth. Uh, that by necessity is communicated, and I believe that is visceral, and I believe that it is incommunicable or indescribable, as you have described it, because of its visceral nature. That is something that is more of a gravitation or a feeling in the gut that maybe cannot be explained or communicated,
Right.
but felt.
Yeah. Now, when, like, I know, like, a lot of your artworks, it's the anatomy of it is absolutely extraordinary.
Thank you.
Do you study anatomy a lot when you're looking at the human body?
You asked, did I study anatomy?
Yes.
Yes, I did. In school, I was in art school for a few years. And I withdrew to work full time and paint full time. But I had done a lot of drawing and painting from life, and in that way studied anatomy. But and then in anatomy books beyond that, but not in any medical sense or besides being on the other end, and
Right. Yeah.
of a scalpel, but no, beyond life and drawing and painting, no, not to a tremendous extent.
Okay. Now, do you think it's hard to start a painting or finish a painting?
It's the getting going is far more of a process. To finish it, the the difficulty is in knowing where it's finished. But and that can be a fine line, but the actual getting going is the big part because it's literally a conception. There's the vision, and then a commitment to that, then the realization of it, the actual execution of it, and these all take a very long time. I've spent the last two commissions that I've done, which I'm very grateful for, have been a painting per year. So I've spent over 12 months on each single. So there were two paintings in 2 years because I was working on them for a year. And that was amazing, and the freedom in being able to work to that degree and time was incredible. So yeah, in getting going and getting it all conceived and starting to be drafted is really the, I guess you could say, harder part. And beyond that, knowing where to stop is its own fine line.
Right. Yeah, because you never want to do too much in a way, because then it's like, okay, I've created a mess.
You can. So at the point at which I've pushed it to a place where I know anymore I'm going to overwork it, that's when I know it's not. You know,
I like that a lot because I mean, it's the truth. It's like the same way of like the way we do things. I've learned throughout the years of trying to do too much. I think doing too much is something where it's like you're doing too much for yourself. Let's take a step back so you can be shown more. Which a lot of people don't really understand that. But if you do little stuff, eventually those little stuff turn into big stuff. So I've learned just throughout the career of haunting and doing what we do as haunters, just do it. Don't think, just do it.
So that is will.
Yeah.
Will. That is the fundamental basis of all. You know, you began at a good point, which was Stings of the Lash, and that is, as I've tried to describe it, my rite of passage and communication of the triumph of will over fate, also contained in the symbol of the Caduceus, which not in that image, but in other paintings of mine.
Now, I've noticed when I was talking to Mike Casavant, and I was like, man, him and I were talking for quite some time. And what's funny, though, like, we did an interview with him a few months ago, and, like, before we interviewed him, I just saw him on Instagram, and I shot him a message, and, you know, we became great friends after that. And
Awesome.
The story that he has, the drive that he has of wanting to be so good to so many people.
It's amazing. It's the best dude you had. And one of my best friends and longest best, you know, favorite clients, and someone who wears my work. We've sat together for years and, you know, countless hours working, but I've known him for years. Was friends with Mike, you know, prior to doing the work on him, and played in bands together. And I was in a band called Human Decline long ago. And we played many shows. He's just the greatest dude.
He don't stop.
He does. He's driven.
So hard. And I love that about him. And he keeps telling me, and like we talk about it all the time. It's like, dude, we got to get Vincent in this haunt world. This haunt community is needing somebody like you in so many ways. There are haunt owners, actors that stand out like your art. And it's crazy because we're not being seen enough. We go out here and we put so much heart and dedication into our work, but they don't really see us like how normal today's society sees us. You know, we are walking art pieces.
Well, that's the thing though with his work and how unique it is. I think he could bring some of his art to the haunt world and come up with some amazing characters that would literally bring some fear to some people.
And it would bring so much to this world of haunting to see stuff like this, either in haunts, on, you know, if you sculpt, mask making, the extraordinary aspect of how we do things is basically how you do things. And that's like the similarity of how you look at, you know, your artwork. We look at our artwork the same way you look at your artworks, passions, dedication. It's our life. It's everything that means everything to me. So would you ever join and look more into the haunt world? I think it'd be fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, I would love to.
I know a lot of our, you know, our audiences don't know much about this aspect of it, but I think once we post this,
I know, just open the door.
it's an open door of seeing the reality of life in such a way of how you project it on each canvas. They're gonna be like, "Holy shit,
That's badass.
that it's more than it's
It's amazing.
speechless."
I would be honored, and it is done.
Yeah, I think it would be such a great thing. Now,
I think if we just keep working, like I said, with Mike and just keep this thing we got going, I think it's gonna just open some things.
For sure. I'm so down.
now
So
when you finish like an official painting and you sit back, does it make you feel lighter or empty in a way?
yes, it is quite freeing up. That it has been a catharsis, truly. Each piece, the process in its entirety, and still, and each piece individually is truly a catharsis. There is not only, it's interesting because, I mean, it was an old, archaically viewed belief. This might be a stretch of the imagination for some, but there was a belief in old, the practice of bloodletting to cure ailments of various things, and even though medically that has been quote unquote debunked, psychically, and in terms of the actual accumulation of genetic, psychic, very palpable energy, uh, there has been this release in not only the exsanguination or the collection of blood and letting go of that and letting it out, but working with it in this highly controlled, 12-month, 500-hour, down to a 32nd of an inch kind of process. It is a catharsis, and it is a creation and then a letting go, and maybe feeling, as you put it, lighter, or a resolution to the topic and subject matter that I'm examining.
Okay. That's a great answer. That's a fucking great answer. I think every one of your answers have got me speechless in a way. I'm like, oh shit, he's got some really good answers. Now here's a question for you. If you could speak to your younger self and just discovering art, what would you tell him?
Do it. It's gonna be all right.
It will. It would. It always, even though the struggles are real, life sucks sometimes, but we always try to find a way to manage it and push our way through it. I don't know how we do it.
Foot in front of the other, one day at a time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Just
sometimes just the next great thing.
Yeah.
That's about as fundamental as I could, in what you just described, process that.
yeah. Now I do have two more questions for you, and they're really important to us. When everything's done, life is about to end. What is one legacy you want to leave behind?
Truth. The embodiment of beauty and truth in as faithful of a manner as I could ever embody. Me speaking personally, that would be the answer, and that is already, if I had, whenever, already, or whenever it does occur, it is already, for me, I'm not saying done, but it has been accomplished. The in loftier terms, the great work with a capital G and W. It's already, it has been, and the process is just an extension of that lineage of fundamental truth, however brutal or unsavory as some of the elements, or brutal as some of the elements might be. This has been the truth. And I believe alchemically moving forward, that will maybe be of some benefit or of some remembrance in the sense of what truly was. I know that's going in kind of circles, but it's been my everything in that way.
And I think you're going to leave a huge legacy behind that is going to be remembered of so many different ways of heart, pure dedication, and passion. And like you said, it's the truth. It's who you are as a person. And I think that's very grateful to have a person like you exist in this world, because not a lot of people exist like that anymore. And it's sad because in today's society, it's sucked into our phones and we're blocking out everything. And we don't have that no more. We don't have that freedom like we do. Everything's so controlled anymore. And when you have a person like yourself exist in this world, there's hope to be yourself, to show yourself in a way that no one can't describe. That is a very unique way to present yourself. It is a very unique way to leave that legacy behind, because you have such an amazing world in front of you, and you show it in so many different ways. Now, after everything, the pain, the transformation, the years of the work, we usually ask everybody that we interview, like, what does a haunter mean to them? But since you're not such as a haunter, you're more of, you're an artist, you're a person, you're a human being. What does the word creation mean to you?
To be fully surrendered and in tune, conscious of, and in the flow, in flow with the moment, and what individually, what that means to you, what each one of us personally in that process of creation, what it embodies for them and their truth in terms of what is communicated. A complete surrender and almost disappearance, dissolution of the self, and actual becoming, becoming what you are, not who. And that is, for me, it's been in that process. It's been by that complete dissolution and disintegration of everything that I've, say, found my truth.
You know, Vincent, you're probably one of the most extraordinary people I've ever spoken to, because you do speak the truth. You speak reality. You paint reality. You show the world things that a lot of people don't get, they're not able to see, you know? And it's hidden because today's society, we're afraid for no reason. We're afraid of life. We're afraid of death. We're afraid of the outcome. We're afraid of the future. We're afraid of the past. Why not just live? Why not just sit there and be yourself? Why is it such a bad thing to be yourself and be who you really want to be? And, you know, with this interview is a huge milestone for us. And we are completely honored to sit down with you and talk with you and dive deep in your brain a little bit and figure out not the whys, but it's just, it's answered. It's answered right in front of us. And I don't want to know the answer. And I don't think I want to know the answer. But I'm speechless. I'm honored. I have so much respect of how much time you put into each and every one of your paintings. I know Steve and I, we work so hard on what we do. And for us to finally hit a milestone and get past it finally, it's I don't it's a word that I can't even describe, where I'm honored to have this, like, interaction with you and actually speak with somebody that speaks the truth, because a lot of the people in this world don't really speak the truth no more, unfortunately.
Uh, and I do so appreciate all of the sentiments expressed in the podcast, and your time and the work that you've put into this and every episode prior. Really, truly honored and look forward to speaking more.
Oh,
Definitely, down into, on for sure. I would love to do so.
Yeah, I think that would be such a great thing for you to express yourself more in different communities, because we need it bad, because it's just one of those things where you show the passion and dedication like we do. We need that. We need that heart. And if it wasn't for Mike, we wouldn't be here right now. Mike, hands down, a fucking great dude.
Mike is the best. He is a great dude. And I think Mike Infant is a more.
Absolutely. Now, do you have any questions for us before we let you go, bud?
Yeah, when do we start?
Whenever you want, man. Whenever you want. We're always down. This is a 365-day thing for us. We don't stop.
So we will be speaking.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And I thank you guys again from the heart. And so again.
Absolutely. Here we go. All right, Vincent, thank you so much for taking the opportunity out of your day and speaking with us. And thank you so much for just being you.
And likewise.
All right, man.
Thank you guys again.
All right.
Take it easy, bud.
See ya.
Right.
That was sticking the nail in the wood.
You know what? I'm gonna have to get one of those defibrillators that we have at work and shock my shit. Cause you about stopped my heart. I don't know how many times you talk so goddamn slow. Spit it out, Junior.
It's hard to.
You're like, I'm like literally the whole time. My eyes were locked on that painting.
Dude,
I loved it.
Oh my god.
I loved the art.
I couldn't. Well, dude, it's like.
And then all of a sudden, here you come back talk.
Well, it's hard.
My heartbeat was slowing the fuck down. I'm literally about to get this fucking electric thing back out and start zapping my ass.
It's hard to.
You better spit it.
It's just like
Spit it.
when you're speechless on this. Like
You weren't speechless. You talked.
yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I talked,
talked.
but it's just like
You slowed down time though.
I did slow down time.
My
and
beard actually got whiter while we were talking.
You ain't got much black up in there.
I know.
Only in your
It's turning.
stash.
It's literally. It's all turning white now because it's time.
It's just so cool to.
Oh, I will, hands down, that was the most unique conversation we've had.
Oh my god,
and
dude!
the art is amazing. And just again, while we were just talking, while you were talking, I was watching. It's just like I could not stop staring at that painting. That thing is crazy. One color, but knows how to control it to make it look like Minnie. It's crazy.
I don't-
and it's blood.
It's fucking blood. It's
That's awesome.
monochromatic, dude.
Well, again, if you guys watch the special on YouTube, the documentary, he explains on how he does it, and it's just wild. It's wild.
And if you guys want to look at more of his like story and stuff, there is a documentary on YouTube about him, and it's a tough one to watch. It's about an hour and 35 minutes long, and it is a little tough to watch, but like he said, it's the truth.
Yeah.
There's no hidden doors. There's no bushes to be hiding around.
Spits it.
He literally lets it go. And there's not a lot of people out in this world that can do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's cool about, us. A lot of people say we're cringy because we speak the truth. Guess what? I don't fucking care.
There's a lot of people that say a lot of shit about us, but fuck them.
But here's the thing. We are who we are. You guys are who you are. what a haunter is, what a person is, what anybody exists in this world is, if you can be yourself and not let anybody control it, that's a human being. That's a haunter. That's an artist. That is a person that lives on this earth every single day and not only walks, but fucking runs.
Folks, I will personally be sending out cards for apologies for this one talking so much, because we were officially into an hour and 40 minutes on this
Told
episode.
you guys this was going to be a long episode.
So if you guys can't get through it all the way and you had to fast forward and you're just now getting to what I'm saying, you'll understand. So
Just listen.
the cards are in the mail.
If you guys want to check him more on like his website, it's Vincent Castiglia gallery.com. Look at his stuff.
Check it out.
Trust me. Like, go follow him on Instagram, Vincent Castiglia, and just it's so much fucking dedication and passion.
That's a lot of hours put into that stuff.
Just like us.
A lot.
A lot of hours.
Dude, we don't touch his hours.
No.
We don't touch his hours.
No.
Dude, just one painting alone, we don't even come to hour-wise. I mean,
One of his painting is like,
he said a year almost it took.
God, dude.
That's a lot. But don't get me wrong. Millimeters. Moving blood. Millimeters. That's how he moves. That's crazy.
Just how he did
That's
like
wild.
Gary Holt's guitar.
Yeah.
Instead of like it absorbing, he has to like move it.
Move it to where he needs it and let it sit. That
Dude,
that would drive me nuts.
Oh my God.
Because, I mean, he's got some patience. That's all I can say.
Whoa,
But
dude.
the outcome was amazing.
Fuck yeah. If you want to look at Gary Holt's guitar, look it up. It is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It is so nuts. I'm honored. Like holy shit.
Holy shit.
Where's that round of applause? Hit that, Steven. That's for you, Vincent. And Mike, dude, thank you so much. I love... That was... Yes!
Frankenfuel.com.
Frankenfuel.
DCP. 15%.
50.
15.
Oh, I think you said 50. I was like, God damn.
Hey, Mike, 50%.
Oh, fuck, guys. Yeah,
Our
if you want to
share
go...
just went through the roof.
We just lost our sponsor. Yeah, if you guys want to go check him out, Vincent Castiglia, gallery.com, and just look at his amazing life. There's an About Me. If you want to read more about his life, if you want to watch that documentary, get on YouTube and just watch it. It is such an extraordinary fucking story.
I'm Steve. That's Arthur.
And hold up.
This is the Dark Carousel Podcast.
Big ol' shout out to Mike Casavant from Frankenfuel. Dude, that was you were right. You were fucking right. You speechless.
There.
Fucking speechless.
When the lights go down in the city.
Say what? But other than that, guys, that was Vincent Castiglia. It's been building up for this moment for a while now. It's completely honored. I feel whole. I
feel right, Brian.
I feel
right.
Next episode we're gonna have Snuggles from Greensboro, North Carolina, Woods of Terror. Thank you, brother, for finally giving us the opportunity of speaking with you, and thank you so much, Vincent, for doing that for us. And it was a ride. Speaking of rides, guess what, guys? I'm Arthur, and that's Steve. And we're the Dark Carousel Podcast. And this fucking carousel will never stop fucking spinning.
The controller's broke.
Remember that. Remember that. See you guys. Till next time.
Till next time.
This ride on the Dark Carousel may be over, but the